So we're now moving into our case study. I'd like to welcome Hannah and Hugo from Beyond Retro and Christian Jermyn from, the Director of ESG at Sea Salt. Together, they will showcase how next-generation circularity is being applied in retail. Please take a stage.
Hello, I'm Hannah Stewart. I'm Head of Innovations for Bank & Vogue and Beyond Retro.
Hiya, I'm Christian Jermyn, Director of ESG at Sea Salt.
And I'm Hugo. I'm the Head of Product at Beyond Retro and Bank & Vogue Innovations Division.
What we're going to share with you today is a case study on how the two brands have partnered, and we've been able to use the textiles already on this planet to make a scalable model for upcycling at scale. Which is a continued partnership. So I'll just first quickly give you a little bit of background about who we are. So with the group of companies, Bank & Vogue is our parent company. We are one of the largest brokers of second-hand textiles in the world. We partner with about 270 charities where we take about 50% of the donations that are given in don't actually make it onto a shop floor of a thrift store or a charity shop, and then 50% of those don't sell. So a company like Bank & Vogue will come in and buy that. And for our wholesale models, we find a home for it and trying to divert it from landfill. Beyond Retro is our retail arm. We have 13 stores around the UK and the Nordics. And what started as a vintage kind of rock and roll store is now grown to be a really curated secondhand on the high street. And within that, about 12 years ago, through our amazing founders, co-founders Stephen Bethel and Helen Carter, we started our innovation hub, and that was really where Steve, our founder, saw that there was so much potential to actually use secondhand garments as an input for new manufacturing or recycling or downcycling. So the innovation hub was born, which myself and Hugo head up together. And within that, we partner with brands. Ultimately, our number one mission is if a garment can be still reworn, it should. But if it can't, it should be used as an input for new manufacturing. So whether that's through collaborations like working with someone like Converse or Coach or lovely Sea Salt, or then we also, if that's not possible, then downcycling, which we will sort for chemical or mechanical recycling. So I'll hand over to... Oh, there's all our group of companies. But I'll hand over to Hugo, who can talk a little bit about the problem and our process.
Yeah, so as Hannah touched upon, everything that we do is within the value hierarchy. So if it can be resold in the Beyond Retro, that's where it'll end up. If it can be upcycled with a simple nip and tuck, we do that in our factory in India, which is also where we do our component manufacturing as well as our fibre-to-fibre recycling. Our factory is based in a special economic zone in northern India, in the Kandla SEZ. And the reason why our factory is positioned there is because that handles really much the lion's share of post-consumer textiles in and around from North America and Europe. So we're really at the heart of the source. We pick from those graders, those sorters, we bring it back to our factory, and then we triage it accordingly. We will work with brands and tier ones in the same way that any other tier two supplier does. We supply swatch books, we are RSL compliant, we use the Matoa scanners to identify our composition. We have been doing this, as Hannah mentioned, since 2015, starting off really just bringing upcycled products to the Beyond Retro stores in what we couldn't find in a vintage grade. We then got traction working with Urban Outfitters, Topshop, Gina Tricot over in Europe, and then it was really Converse that started the component manufacturing process. So by component manufacturing process, I am taking your old pair of jeans, maybe not mine because they're a little old, but we are taking them, cutting the components, and then sending them to the tier one, so they're no different than what you see on the cutting room floor. So this example right here is the first bag of our continued partnership with Coach. And Coach did an LCA on this process because they wanted to know what is the benefit of working with us as opposed to buying virgin denim, or how we like to refer to it as first life denim. And within that, it is an 80% carbon reduction and a 95% water reduction, along with 68% eutrophication and 65% electricity consumption. And that is also taking into account the fact that the product has moved, for those of you who are thinking about it, from North America to the SEZ in India, and then from us to their tier 1 partner in Vietnam. And still there is an 80% carbon reduction. There is still a 90% water reduction against first life denim.
A mic drop now on that.
And then we've partnered, as Hannah mentioned, with Coach, with Wrangler, with Converse, and other brand partners. But what separates them from who we're about to talk about is the fact that those conversations can take time. They can take a long time to plug in and play. Whereas with Sea Salt, they took to it instantly.
Yeah, it was, I would say, from initial conversations with the lovely Laura, your creative director, I think it was within a year we had the collection, hitting the high street, which, like Hugo said, talks with, Converse. That was years in the making, but so it was incredible that you guys adapted to it so quickly.
Yeah, from our perspective, I think as a brand and for brand people in the room, the solutions in this room, I think everyone who's spoken so far, if we join the dots, we can solve a lot of the big problems, and that's just here today. So I'm feeling really optimistic, and these are the superstars. Really, I think sustainability has got a problem with language. We've heard EPRs, CRDs, DDPs, TCFDs, it just goes on, and what we've got to do is, if we were to do something meaningful, we've got to make it accessible, engaging, and inclusive. And we've got to stop punishing people for their choices and instead give them better choices. And I think the sector, fashion sector, clothing retail, that's our job. And I think that's why this collaboration really hit hard, because we were engaged, we felt included, and we wanted to do something that was engaging. So, these guys are incredible and what they're about. And I think the other thing to think about from a brand perspective is we've spent like 20 odd years working in brand responsibility in GOTS and RWS in terms of materials and ethical trade initiative. But actually, when you look at what we're doing, what does it mean as a consumer to throw something away? There is no away. It's a mockery. And what you're doing is you're sending something to somebody else to deal with. And that absolutely is a detriment to the well-being of people and planet. Once you understand that you can't throw something away, and we've got a lot of work to do, we are by no means perfect, but once you understand that, you realize that what you need to do is turn that away into value, and basically that's about waste to value. And that's why I've said, these guys are incredible, because not only do they turn that waste into valuable, they turn it into a desirable product, which enabled us to engage with our customer, who's an older customer, so making circularity accessible, but also invited new customers to the brand that maybe weren't aware of what we're doing. So, yeah, massively thankful to you guys.
And I think one thing that we heard from your team as well, that this, we've gone with a denim collaboration for the first one. We're moving on to different fabrications as we develop this. But really, it wasn't really treated any different by your consumer,
Consumer loved it. I don't think they saw it. They didn't, I think our consumer probably weren't aware of Beyond Retro. They just saw a beautiful product. And I think what we want to do is allow our consumer to tell that story. So it's, we talked a lot about education and allowing people to say, I love your bag, or I love your jacket. Oh, by the way, it's recycled denim. Like that in itself, that's the story we need to start. We need to bring desirability to it. And that's what you and the teams do so brilliantly.
Yeah, no, that you hit the nail on the head, and that's something that, whether it's with Coach, for example, they didn't really talk to the consumer about it made from post-consumer. They were very careful with their words, as it's been mentioned earlier, the greenwashing aspect of it all. But the point is that a desirable product is what you want foremost. And people want that authenticity. Like Sally mentioned from laundry, people love vintage. And whether it's used denim or used corduroy, whatever it might be, that has a heritage and that still has a life. So, stop cutting down your denim trees.
And, I think that as well, that you're not just talking to one demographic. I think sometimes we think about it's about the younger demographic. No, our demographics, 55 plus, and they loved it. And I think it was that authentic storytelling piece that made it accessible and engaging for them.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we're just really excited to see where we can grow this with you guys. And I mean, your design team has been amazing as we move into the next collection, which we're working on, which was for Spring Summer 26. And you can kind of see up on the screen there, this is us celebrating in our Cold Drop store. And we just had fun with it as well. You know, it was a joyous thing to kind of work with you guys. And I would love to say you can come and speak to us after this, but the three of us are all running off because we have another fun event at our Cold Drop store tonight, which if any of you want to come, we're kind of celebrating another collaboration that we're doing with Beverly Hills housewife Sutton Strack, who, again, it's a unlikely collaboration, but someone, again, who's in a totally different space from us, but is talking about sustainability in kind of another world. And we just reached out to her and said, we love that you're talking about sustainable fashion in Beverly Hills. Let's be friends. And it's become a friendship. And now here she comes to Cold Drops tonight. We've done an upcycle bag with her, and she's done a vintage edit within our stores. So we're going to celebrate that. So if any of you want to continue and chat to us and have a free drink, come to Cold Drops.
We can fit you all in.
Yeah.